Hello, and welcome to Cursed Content Fight Club, part 2 of this particular Fight Club. I am your host, Mr. Feelstone, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Dan and Bob Video Slate from gigaboulders.com.
Bob, what are you doing?
Eating these boulders?
KZ Roxcellent from kzroxcellent.com.
I signed things without reading them.
And Dr. Cragro, a pun Dan should have used in the previous two podcasts where we did this.
Additional mineral-based joke from the 90s.
Oh, thank you.
And since the last movie was the Honeymooners movie, we're doing the Flintstones one from 1994. Did you know Steven Spielberg produced this?
Yes, he actually gaslit John Goodman into being Fred Flintstone. I'm not even kidding. He literally announced it in front of a crowd of people, and John Goodman's like, "Excuse you?"
Now you have to say yes, right?
He's still pissed to this day.
That makes sense.
I'm glad he did it.
He's like, I stopped enjoying the Flintstones in the 5th grade. I did not want to do that movie. I called him up months before we went to film, drunk, telling him I can't do it. I can't do it.
Jesus.
This is great.
So this movie came out in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park came out in 1993 and was also made by Steven Spielberg.
Uh-huh.
They made this movie because Steven Spielberg was like, well, now that we can do dinosaurs, we can do the Flintstones movie.
At some level, that is kind of what happened, yeah.
And I look at Dino and go, maybe not.
Hey, for 1994, that was insane.
Yeah, they keep mixing the practicals and the CG pretty well.
Yeah, I for some reason, I thought this was 1997 or 8.
Yeah, no, it's 94.
Yeah, it was 94.
Jesus Christ. Never mind.
This movie's insane because like every single shot is like, wow, you made so much shit.
I know. Yeah, that they have that whole
Like
street.
3 or 4 Universal Parks worth of sets.
Yes, that's also what I was thinking. I was like, man, this seems almost like a waste that it wasn't a Universal Park street.
Yeah.
It just wasn't big enough, unfortunately. And if this happened nowadays, I'm sure we would have a Flintstones Park.
Probably.
Yeah, go over there,
Yeah,
gas up at Chevrock.
Now now I guess I'll talk about this movie a little bit. We'll do like we did last time, give a brief summary, not a chugging Bleacher Mondo cool level summary, but a brief summary. So this movie opens with the villain Cliff Vandercave, who is fucking Kyle MacLachlan, fucking Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the entire film, I was mistaking who he was till the very end, thinking he was Charlie Sheen.
They do look slightly similar, but yeah, I was losing it the whole movie because I'm like, wow, this is a really funny role for Kyle MacLachlan. Hal Berry is his secretary, and boy, did I double take when she walked into frame.
Yeah, because they do like part of the credits before that scene and then part after. So I was like, I didn't see Halle Berry in those, but she's a huge celebrity. She would clearly be top billing, and then immediately they put her name up.
Was
after
she a
that.
huge celebrity then? What was like the first thing she did? I don't think she was a huge celebrity until like X-Men.
Yeah,
Maybe
she was on the way up when this happened.
Yeah, this was like before she got an Oscar. Or...
Yeah, her literal career starts in '89, so this isn't that much after the very beginning,
Okay.
seemingly.
They're talking about how they're gonna steal all of Mr. Slate's money, and then take the money and then run away. Then we get a pretty good scene. Of Fred and Barney driving to work.
Mhm.
They're Fred Flintstone is John Goodman, and Barney Rubble is fucking Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Which I really like this casting, and I think they do like they try to impersonate the cartoon just enough for it to be really funny, especially Rick Moranis, who is really trying to be Barney-esque.
Yeah, it's surprising how perfect that is because I feel like he wouldn't expect it from Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's sort of doing, like, he's not doing a Barney impression. He's adopting Barney-esque mannerisms and is equally as lovable.
Yes.
So they're having a conversation about Fred gave Barney him and Wilma's life savings so that they had the money to adopt a kid.
Which, what the fuck? It's such a weird opening plot point.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you need so much money? You're straight. We get like a scene of them at work. By the way, this movie opens with a recreation of the first half of the cartoon intro, like with John Goodman sliding down the dinosaur tail into his car and all that, which isn't actually part of the movie. It's very bizarre.
It's very bizarre that they open with that, but I guess that was the idea behind the original intro, but it's just weirder when it's in a movie. That's when they say Steven Spielrock presents, and they have
which I thought was funny.
George Lucas's Tar Wars presented by Universal.
And it doesn't stop.
No, never.
One might call it unrelenting. Never.
It's done so well. It's kind of creepy. Like, you don't think that it's 1994. You shouldn't look like this.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the puns. I'm like,
No.
Bob's crafting the background story for a fucking sociopath who spent his entire life up until this moment being like, Flintstones names. Gotta think of Flintstones names.
Yeah, like, this is an early 90s studio comedy movie writer's room set free.
Yes, but yeah, I agree with you, Bob. The intro is really well done in a way that's unsettling.
Like, they have us slide down the dinosaur to get off from work, and that just looks like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like George of the Jungle. Oh, not George of the Jungle. Tarzan, Disney, where he could like slide down things.
Yeah. Could you imagine they do a shot in this where his feet just keep going along the tail as it like whips around and stuff?
Right? I was expecting it, honestly.
The Phil Collins soundtrack kicks in. Yeah, this I think the easiest way to convey how it's like incredibly impressive it to an almost unsettling extent. At least this was the case for me as a kid. That TV show Dinosaurs, where they have all the animatronics.
Yes,
it has that energy of like you put so much effort into making this look real, and it only makes it more unsettling.
Yeah, that's what made that show great.
Yeah,
It's what make the effects of this movie really great.
And then the end of the Flintstones movie, they go, well, the Ice Age is about to begin, time to die.
Yeah. That's a messed up ending of that show. Jesus.
Spoilers, by the way, for the TV show Dinosaurs.
So they go home. I guess it does lead. I guess it does lead into the movie because he's going home. He's not going to work.
Right. So it kind of works, but it's not 100%.
Not 100%. So Fred gets home and gets his fucking shit ruined by Dino, who just runs in and tackles him. Wilma's like, Fred, where's the money from our account? I was gonna buy a garbage disposal. And I'm like, no, you should rip that out and never have a garbage disposal. They're all pieces of shit.
But then we get to see it.
And it is a piece of shit.
It is.
It's like a monster.
Yeah.
It looks like fucking Baron Harkonnen under their sink.
Here's the funny thing. We did 2 different episodes of the Flintstones, right? Neither of them had the gag that they should have, which this does, where it's just, here's the garbage disposal, it's a dinosaur. Here's the shower. I guess they had the mammoth, right?
Yeah, they had
we had the mammoth shower in one of them. But I feel like we were really light on those jokes in the 2 episodes we were watching.
Right. They didn't
Yeah,
have
and this
any
one
of
has
the,
like 800 of them.
right. And we didn't have any of that joke of, oh, it's a living from the dinosaur that is upset that it's being doing this.
Yes. I do appreciate this garbage disposal's not working. Fred's like, hey, I'm gonna fix this, and just shoves his whole arm into the dinosaur to pull out a bent fork.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how you fix a garbage disposal.
was in that last scene was Barney and Fred in the car.
Yeah.
That is straight a scene that we saw in The Honeymooners, I swear.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
losing my mind at the idea of, so this entire scene is about Fred giving savings to someone else and she can't find. Why are we watching the same thing every single week until we're dead?
He literally does the exact rant from the Bensonhurst bomber where he goes,
Yeah.
And there's an extra layer to this, right? Because I didn't point this out that many episodes ago because it's a very small joke. But when oh God, what's the name of it? Harvey. When Harvey comes out, okay, he's like, the small one goes, yeah, he said he was gonna beat you and me up. And Harvey goes, he says it's gonna beat me. And then he points at the other one and he goes, and you, and he points at himself up. And this repeats the same joke. Fred thumbs at Barney to say me, and then at himself to say you. And I'm like, Fred, John Goodman just fucking watched The Honeymooners because his performance here is straight up Jackie Gleason. Like, it's even more so than usual.
Of course. There's literally no way he didn't watch both extensively for this movie.
It is cute how they lean into The Honeymooners for this movie.
It's funny as shit.
So Wilma's like, Fred, where's the money? And he confesses and is like, go ahead, Wilma, yell at me, read me the riot act. And of course, she doesn't yell at him. She's very impressed that he's so kind. And then Fred goes, also, I bought a new bowling ball.
And then Stealth kills her.
Yeah.
We get a scene of Barney and Betty. Betty is fucking Rosie O'Donnell, who does spectacular, to be frank.
That laugh is unsettling.
Like, it genuinely unnerved me every time they did it.
It is completely perfect.
That's why that's a problem.
I've never heard another human being nail the Betty Rubble laugh that well.
And they meet Bam Bam, who was raised by wild mastodons, which is why he's like a wild child and super strong.
There's a quick joke here I have to put a nod to. They're at the adoption agency. They're like, oh, let's bring out your child. And they bring out a monkey, and they're like, okay, he's a little feral. He'll be fine. And they go, this isn't your child. This is the Hendersons. And I'm like, is that a Harold Harry and the Hendersons joke?
Yes, it is. God damn it.
God damn it, Dan. Literally, we're sitting watching this, and we're just like blank staring at you. It's like, feels the only one who's going to enjoy this joke with me.
And that's because I forgot Agra was going to be there, and I was like, Agra's gonna get it too. It's just the three of us being like, fucking joke, fucking hand. Yeah, Harry and the Hendersons reference. Nice hot rip roaring reference there.
Hey, that show was almost contemporary when they back then.
Sure.
So Fred and Barney are at the bowling alley, which is like a gigantic fucking set piece that seems like it's from an amusement park. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
How extensive it is.
I love how immaculate it is, and the fact that it's a bowling alley with 3 lanes.
I actually didn't even notice that. I was too caught up on, this is a real location they built.
Yeah,
right? They're not standing on 12 feet of it and the rest is a blue screen.
I kept thinking, like, wow, if they made this movie now, it would just look like Netflix Bebop. Like,
yeah. Wild times, big budget 90s movies.
Everything in this movie is real, which regardless of the quality of the movie, like, elevates the movie. It's better to watch something that's real. So Fred has to get a strike to win the big tournament. They're playing against Neanderthals, which apparently aren't allowed in the water buffaloes anymore, according to his earlier scene. Where Fred's like, no, we don't let them in no more. So, Fred. He literally does the thing Fred does in the cartoon where he like goes on his tiptoes and it plays the twinkle toes effect. Sound effect. So he gets the strike. The water buffaloes win. Barney reads a poem about how Fred is the greatest friend anybody could ever have, and he vows he'll pay Fred back for all his generosity. Somehow they have a good moment where Fred cries a little bit. He tells Barney how beautiful
baby
it was.
Oil.
Yeah. This scene's important because two things. One, Fred's a flat earther.
well, everybody is. That's the joke.
Yeah, that is the joke. Two, the song at the bowling alley is straight up the same one they ripped off for Ren and Stimpy. Or the Ren and Stimpy intro is the original song licensed, and this is a knockoff of that, and it drove me fucking insane.
Oh.
I'm like, Jesus.
So Fred goes home, and he's like, wow, what a great night. I have this trophy. Oh, everything's great. And then finds out his mother-in-law Pearl is there, who is Elizabeth Taylor, and this is the last movie she was ever in.
I did not know it was the last one. Wow.
It's the typical mother-in-law shit in a sitcom. You're worthless and fat, and I hate you, and I wish my daughter had married a rich guy.
And you're fat, and you're fat.
And you're fat, and you're fat, and you're fat. Wilma, you could have married the guy who married a wheel, but instead you married the man who invented the wheel. Oh, yeah, you could have married the man who invented the wheel. Instead, you married the man who invented the excuse.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't the guy who invented the wheel Firestone?
Yeah, it's Elliot Firestone, inventor of the wheel.
And frankly, Wilma, why did you tell her what he did? Do you not know your own mom? Because she told her that Fred gave away their savings so Barney could adopt a kid. And why did you tell her that? You knew? Did you think she would go, "Oh, you married such a kind, generous man"? All she cares about is how much money he has at the bank.
I've been in relationships where the other person involved has a compulsive need to tell their mother everything, despite them knowing that will absolutely make them miserable. So this seems like a thing that would happen.
They argue for a while. Fred says that someday he's going to be a real somebody and give Wilma the life they deserve.
Because it was the 90s and people believed shit like that.
Yeah, people believed that upward social mobility was possible.
Then something about Bing Bang right to the moon.
Fred and Barney are at work the next day. We get one of those Earth's a living moments because somebody buys a soda from the soda machine, which they had like giant stone bottles made for every drink in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is nothing but an insane amount of props and sets. It's crazy.
And the parrot, there's a bird in the machine that is the bottle opener. Mm-hmm. So somebody pops the bottle on the Barney's like, it's a living.
Like not the mechanism that sorts and distributes the product.
No.
The bottle opener.
Yeah.
Just the bottle opener. So they're eating lunch with everybody else. Cliff Vandercave, the villain, comes out and is like, we're starting the new executive placement program, an aptitude test where one dumb moron down here in the quarry will be made a vice president and given an obscene salary and a shiny nameplate.
Real quick, the intro to the scene is he's like, we have something important to announce. And one of the workers goes, did you find out why the guys in pit 6 are losing their hair? And he goes, yes, and we are currently refuting the results of that investigation. God, this movie's writing is good.
There are a few 10 out of 10 jokes in this movie.
So Fred's like, oh, this is my way to be somebody. And Vandercave is doing this because he needs a patsy to steal all the money. Like his plan is, we're going to raise a moron to executive, have them embezzle all the money. We take the money and they go to jail. That's his plan.
Yeah.
That's the villain's plan. So Fred starts crazy studying for the test. Wilma and Betty are doing laundry while talking about it. Betty goes, I haven't seen Fred this excited about something you couldn't put mayonnaise on.
Jesus. Don't keep doing that.
Look, they were especially bitchy in this scene. What do you want?
I just don't want to hear them.
So it's the day of the test. It's like a standardized test. Everybody's doing it. Fred does fucking terribly, and Barney is apparently a super genius. The timer's up. They have to turn their tests in. Barney realizes that Fred got like the worst possible score. It's like,
yeah, he takes one look at the fucking application, looks at Fred, and is just like, oh, Jesus.
He's like, why did you answer C for every option?
So Barney swaps their tests to, because he has like a thought bubble remembering himself saying that someday he would pay Fred back.
When he does this, he coughs and fake drops the tablets, reaches down to pick it up. I freeze frame the movie. Fred gave up and did tic-tac-toe at the bottom of his.
That's pretty good. Vandercave and Miss Stone, who is Halle Berry, are like, how do you mean Fred got the highest? He's like a giant ape. I was like, no, the giant ape was this other guy.
Guess he's smarter than we thought he was.
Here's the thing. They keep going with like Fred scored so low.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like nothing in the movie makes Fred come off as stupid. So it just seems like a weird thing to make him the dumbest one.
Look, if the quest was the test was full of questions like supply and demand and a bunch of other things like that. You don't necessarily have to be dumb to not understand that.
Yeah, but like the characters keep acting like Fred is just obviously the biggest moron to have
That's
ever lived.
true. Later in the movie, they have that conversation again of like Fred Flintstone's smarter than we thought he was, and then they go, "Well, yeah, obviously he gets dressed in the morning." Like he could dress himself. That clearly puts him above my opinion.
Right, but again, this is people like the main villain who just obviously everyone who's poor is stupid.
Yes,
Like that's his opinion.
kind of also the same bad guy from The Honeymooners.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah, but more obviously evil.
He was the bad guy from that decade.
Yeah, this movie is from the 90s where we thought that the only thing stopping big business from being punished is that nobody had proof they were doing crimes. Anyway, Cliff Vandercave comes out and is like, Fred's the winner, and everybody's surprised and they celebrate. He gets ready. Fred gets up the next day and is ready for his first day as vice president. He puts on a great zebra striped suit and a tie. I do think it's funny that even the suits don't have sleeves. Even the villain's suit does not have sleeves.
Yes,
No,
that's great.
Fred's like, don't worry, Barney. I'm not going to be one of those people who makes it big and forgets all the people who got me there. I'm going to make things better for you guys who are still down here in the quarry. Now, can I have some money for lunch? I forgot my wallet.
And he's like, "Oh, this doesn't change anything."
Fred enters the building and is surprised, which, by the way, is another insane set. They made like a Stone Age, really expensive looking office building. It's crazy.
With
and
with elevator and everything.
And as it shows the set, it plays yet another remix of the Flintstones, and I'm like, this is so many remixes. Am I listening to Siva Gunner?
Yeah, it was like 15 of them, I feel like.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
So he takes Fred to his office and introduces him to Halle Berry, who's his new secretary, and introduces him to his Dictabird, which is like a recorder but a bird. And the bird also offers advice, but Fred is like, why would I take advice from an appliance?
So I feel like I was the only one in the room who noticed, because no one else said a single word once he started talking. Aggro, did you notice who plays the Dictabird?
Oh yeah, that's straight up Harvey Korman.
It is the Great Gazoo.
What?
No.
God damn it!
I was like, this is awesome!
Oh my
Oh man, it's so obvious! God damn it!
He stopped just shy of calling him Dum Dum.
He's a little
I
green
didn't
guy who
notice.
calls Fred an idiot.
You really just put the pipe bomb in my mailbox with that one.
We have no evidence that bird isn't also secretly the Great Gazoo.
Jesus.
Yeah, I love the Dictabird. It's one of the best characters in this. He's funny as hell. Considering we came from that episode of the Great Gazoo to this, I'm like, what an upgrade. He's a bird now.
So we cut to Cliff Vandercave's office. They're getting the documents ready for Fred to sign to fuck him over. But Vandercave is like, we have to make sure he's an idiot and completely out of the palm of our hands. So we have to condition him to do whatever we want. So we have to tell him to fire the person who scored lowest, Barney. Which means Fred scored lowest, which is like, there was literal, like, gorillas taking this test.
Yeah.
Yes.
They at least finished all of the questions and didn't play tic-tac-toe.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the gag of the monkeys filling out the test. One of the more angular headed people just starts looking at his test to cheat off the monkey, and the monkey's like, no, and covers it. It's like, yo, a trained animal, this rules.
Yeah.
Fred is like, I don't want to fire Barney, and Vandercave's like, if you don't fire Barney, I'm gonna fire you both. So Fred is all distraught and goes home, where they're having a party to celebrate his promotion, and Barney is there, and Wilma's mom is now completely different in her treatment of Fred because she's a piece of shit.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And Fred tries to and Barney's giving Fred like an expensive briefcase. He's like, you're gonna need this with your new fancy guy job. And Fred's like, no, Barn, I can't take this from you, Barn. He's like, well, why can't you take it from me, Fred? And he's like, because you can't afford it. And he's like, what do you mean? Because you're fired. And Wilma's mom seems really into this.
Yeah.
Like, she is super into this public humility. Like, what a horrible person.
Yeah, she's like, conga line time.
Cool.
So Barney's like, hey, Fred, why was I fired? And I'm like, because you got the lowest score, Barney. And Barney's like, oh. Wilma and Betty are shopping the next day. Bam Bam destroys like a china shop.
The editing on this was immaculate.
We get like a POV shot of Bam Bam running at the camera, swinging the club, and we know he's heading into the china shop. But he's like, no! And then there's a bunch of glass breaking.
Yeah, Betty screaming no in slow motion was incredible. I'm like, this is so hilarious. And then the scene ends like pacing wise. It's like, oh, we didn't hang out here for an extra minute or two. Thank you for doing a joke and moving on.
So Wilma's like, don't worry, Betty, just because you're now poor doesn't mean you're gonna lose the kids. Social services gets cut so much nobody's even gonna check on him.
So could you imagine if they said that?
They should have.
I know.
So it's Slate and Co. They're having like a meeting. Miss Vandercave like reveals a giant piece of machinery that will be able to construct modular housing units, some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then later in Fred's office, Halle Berry shows up with the documents Fred needs to sign. Fred's like, hey, I should read these documents. You know, contractors are real scumbags. You got to read everything you sign. And she's like, oh, fuck, he's not supposed to even know how to read. I better seduce him. And Fred seems like maybe a little bit receptive to it, but then Wilma just shows up. It's like, hey, Fred, why don't we let the Rubbles live with us? You know, since they're poor and everything.
No, hang on, because she walks in to the secretary on his desk, and he gets up, and I swear to God, he could have talked his way out of that situation just fine. But the man crosses the room and forgets his daughter's name.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was dire.
Also, he calls Wilma Mrs. Flagstone because they misremembered his name at the meeting.
Yeah, because Mr. Slate doesn't know his name.
There's also during that scene where they get Bam Bam out of prison and Wilma and Betty are at the park. For some reason, after the conversation of like, oh, how are we going to deal with this, et cetera, a giant pterodactyl shows up and takes a giant shit.
Yeah, and he shits on. It's
on like, why did this happen?
I thought that was leading to anything, and then it just
cuts away.
Cuts away. Never
I was
mentioned
most
again.
surprised that it was like miniature work, and they didn't actually produce that much fake pterodactyl shit.
I don't know. They spent so much money on everything else. So Fred's in the meeting room looking out the window at everybody having fun being poor. He's like, I miss being poor, kinda. Then he breaks the model, like he's playing with it, and he fucks up the model.
Yeah,
and he's like, I didn't do it. When
messes-
Halle Berry shows up,
He messes with the catapult and it launches a boulder to the other side and breaks it down. And he's like, oh, shit.
he's like, I better pretend I didn't do anything. And Halle Berry obviously knows he did it and pretends not to know.
Yes.
She's like, Fred's like, hey, Miss Stone, does industrialization have a negative effects on the power of blue collar workers? She's like, no, Fred, no, this totally isn't going to put all your friends out of a job. No, of course not. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Fred is so genuine in this somehow with his concerns that Halle Berry goes back to Cliff Vandercave and is like, he's too smart. This could go wrong. We should stop. We should call this whole scheme off and only be rich instead of exorbitantly rich.
Yeah, there's also at the end of the meeting room scene, she's like, "You're a really great guy, Fred," and he goes, "Thanks," because he loves his wife. She immediately goes to piece of shit Whiteman, the one from this movie, not the Honeymooners, and then he just womanizes it instantly. He's just like, how about you stop doing the thinking because I've done enough.
I compared the evil white guy from the Honeymooners to an OCP executive, but this dude is just explicitly like a G-rated OCP executive.
Yeah, he is a Disney Channel kids rule movie villain.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's like, all we gotta do is turn Fred into a scumbag. So they give Fred a bonus, which is like an unbelievably massive sum of money.
Yes.
So we get like a montage and Fred squandering the money on like a car and house remodeling and new clothes.
And of course, we hear another remix of the Flintstones theme.
And it's intercut with like a Barney montage where he's doing all kinds of horrible jobs. Like in one, he's like the attendant at a gas station, which for some reason involves feet washing duty.
I mean, it's like washing the windshield.
Yeah.
It's their feet.
Yeah. But he's not washing the driver's feet. He's washing I guess they both have to pedal.
Yeah, everybody
But it's like-
pedals.
Everybody pedals.
Yeah, because even when they showed like public transit, everyone has to start it up together.
That's really good too, because it's like, okay, everyone all together now. And I'm like, oh, that's God, this movie.
And I'm not sure about this. I think that the thing, because Barney washes the feet with a hose, which is like a mastodon nose, and like a thing on a stick. Was the thing on the stick like a modification of the dinosaurs TV show Baby? Because it looked really close.
I did not look at that closely enough.
I couldn't pick it up all that fast. Like, it seemed to be some pink worm-like thing wrapped around a stick. I really couldn't look at it. It came and went fast.
And Barney has some other bad jobs. Like I think he's a crash test dummy.
Yes,
in
he's
one.
a crash test dummy at the end of the montage. So it ends with him just screaming and going downhill into a wall.
Barney and Betty are like, the Flintstones are rich pieces of shit now. Maybe we shouldn't hang out with them anymore. Meanwhile, Fred's being a piece of shit in his office, and it's like, I'm going to take Wilma to Cavern on the Green. And then Vandercave shows up with like all the forged documents and is like, Fred, I need you to sign these to make sure your employees get some, looks directly at the camera, well-needed time off.
They are all pink.
Yes.
They are all pink, and the Dictabird's like, you better read those before signing them, dum-dum. And Fred's like, no, fuck you, washing machine, and then signs all of them. At Cavern on the Green, Fred and Wilma are living it up. Betty is not having a good time, probably because Barney is now a busboy.
Yeah.
It comes on the news that Fred fired they announce on the news that Fred fired everybody and people are now rioting. Which I think even in the 90s, like the auto factory shutting down was like 25 years out of date. As like a thing that was happening. And it's like, no, we shipped all that shit offshore in the 70s. We sold out the future way before you thought, man. Most of the people watching this movie's never lived in a time where the future hadn't already been sold. There's like the big explosion. There's the bitter argument. Barney's like, "You're a fucking idiot. You're not really, a smart executive. I swapped the test. You should have been the one fired." Fred lashes out. Wilma's like, "I'm taking Pebbles and Dino to my mom's house, including the dog," which is fucked up. Taking Dino seems cruel.
Yeah.
Clearly, Fred is not to be trusted with Dino.
During the scene, Fred, because there's the part where Betty and Barney move out, and Fred doesn't move an inch to try to make amends or anything. They move out. Once that finishes, Wilma gets pissed that he just let them go, and then she leaves, and Fred just starts yelling at her that she's gonna regret it, and he says her name is Wilma Slaghoople. Her maiden name
that's
is
her maiden name.
I did not know it was Slaghoople.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
He's like, "You're gonna regret it, Wilma Slagoople. Hopefully."
I like how he like started from, well, obviously she's gonna divorce me. Like I might as well just start using her maiden name again.
Yeah, that's a great mode to go into.
So Fred goes to work the next day and everybody wants to kill him. And he heads he goes into the file room and finds all the real documents. Says, I understand the whole plot. And then Vandercave is like, okay, you don't have any evidence and everything has your name on it. You should probably run because the police are going to be here soon because I already called them.
There's a fantastic line between Fred and the Dictabird as he realizes this, where he goes, "They made a fool out of me," and he goes, "Well, look at what they had to work with."
God. Realizing that it's the Great Kazoo adds a lot.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I didn't know at the time.
So Fred is now a criminal and he's out on the run and he's hiding in a hotel. A news broadcast shows like a comically not Fred actor playing Fred embezzling.
We gotta talk about this. So it's an unsolved mysteries. We're gonna show a dramatization of what happened scene. The host of the show is Jay Leno. They cut to the wide shot of the office, which is supposed to have Cliff Vandercave, Fred Flintstone, and Sharon Stone, which is Halle Berry. Sharon Stone's actress, I don't know, amazing for this dramatization. Fred Flintstone, don't know him either, but he's over the top. The important thing, though, is Cliff Vandercave is only ever seen in the wide shot and is Sam fucking Raimi.
We saw that in the credits and then had to run back.
fucking Sharon Stone's just like, "Mr. Flintstone, what are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm an executive. I'm embezzling." And she goes, "I'm shocked." And he goes, "Who cares? Yabba dabba dabba."
I died when it was like on our last watch of it. Bob starts losing and I'm like, what's up? He's like, "That's supposed to be Halle Berry, right?"
Yes,
Yeah, the actress is so far removed. I didn't even notice.
It's so wrong that he didn't get what they were doing with that.
She's an incredibly short, portly black woman, and she's just, her acting is so terrible, and it's amazing.
I'm gonna think about that "I'm embezzling" clip forever.
God. I can't think of it without laughing.
So they cut from Fred seeing that on a TV to Fred's house. And at Fred's house, or I guess Wilma's mom's house.
Right.
Wilma and Wilma's mom are watching it. And Wilma's mom's like, "I can't believe you married that man." And what was it? Wilma goes, "That's not Fred." Then Betty goes, "No, that's the guy who plays on this soap we watch."
The Young and the Thumbless.
Yes, the Young and the Thumbless. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, that was important.
It was nonstop.
They're like, wait, I remember there's a Dictabird in Fred's office. We better go get it so we can clear Fred's name. Obviously, he's not actually an embezzler. I couldn't have married a piece of shit.
We're gonna go get that bird and we're gonna ask it for a new car and a patio set. A bunch of money.
So Fred, who is now in a disguise, is he like finds a cave to hide out in. There's a bunch of the employees who are fired, and they're like, "Yeah, are you one of the guys who was fired too?" And he's like, "Yes, I am." But he fucks up and gives himself away, and everybody's like, "Kill him!"
Gets fully exposed by his own garbage disposal that he threw out.
Who can talk?
He goes, "Flintstone."
Well, of course they can talk.
I mean, I can't blame him. Like the scene where they're pulling that garbage disposal out from under the sink, kicking and screaming will give me nightmares.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm an empath. I felt it.
I really appreciate the sign that the garbage disposal says will work for scraps.
Yes.
I'm like, that's pretty good.
So Fred's running away. Wilma and Betty go to the office and get the Dictabird. Vandercave and Miss Stone are getting ready to escape. Halle Berry finds out that there was only one ticket to the escape location, a Rockapulco, and is like, oh wow, the evil white man was going to betray me. They hear Wilma and Betty leaving and see them running, and he's like, "Oh shit, they're gonna ruin us. Don't worry, I have a plan." I have a devious plan.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Fred got caught, and they're just gonna lynch him.
Oh, it's so good.
This
Yeah,
is
this is
literally
great.
this has the funniest joke in the whole movie.
Fred yells at the crowd. He goes, "I was framed," and someone goes, "In a minute, you're gonna be boxed."
That they are about to hang him by the neck. And then Barney shows up in a snow cone truck.
Yes. Fred, what are you doing? I'm getting lynched.
I feel like I lost vision.
I was like, what is this dialogue?
Perfect.
Barney fucks up and admits that he's also partially responsible for this. So they start hanging him. The crowd also starts like scavenging from the snow cone truck, and Barney's like, "Man, why couldn't sales be this good every day?"
Yeah, they
so
take stuff,
good.
but they still pay for it. Like they leave the money, I guess.
They're hooked up. They're about to be hung, and the lady comes up and goes, "I took a cherry," and offers money. Barney just goes, "I can't take a 20." And she walks off, and they keep having their heartfelt, coming to God moment together. Fred and Barney do. Another one comes up and says, "You got a lemon?" And he goes, "Check in the back." Fred, he's feeling down on himself.
And they're like, "I'm sorry, Barney. Oh, I'm sorry, Fred. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. No, I'm a piece of shit." And they do like the crying and the cartoon. "No, you're the best friend I could ever have, Barney. No, you are, Fred." And Barney's like, and Fred's like, "Barney, you're a great guy." And Barney looks up at the rope and is like, "I don't really feel that great right now."
And Fred says, "I'm just a jerk." And Barney goes, "Everybody loves you, Fred, except for this lynch mob."
But right before they get lifted up and hung, Wilma and Betty show up and drive into the tree and knock it down.
Yes, they start driving through the crowd. People are freaking out, and one person yells, "Watch out for that tree," and I have a stroke. I'm like, George of the Jungle reference, Harry in the end, losing vision.
You're a puddle on the floor.
Fred is forced to say sorry to the Dictabird before it will help him. And then the mob realizes that, the evil white man was the villain, so they let him go. They get back home and find the kids are gone with Wilma's mom and Dino are tied up, and a note saying, "If you want to see your kids again, you better bring the Dictabird to the quarry. No police."
Both Fred and Wilma step past Wilma's mother being tied up on the ground. Wilma goes to check for the kids. Fred steps back to untie Dino.
Yeah.
Good, perfect. They go to the quarry to get the kids back, and we begin what might be like the most children's summer blockbuster action climax scene of any movie.
Of course.
Yes,
Every single one of them have conveyor belts.
At the beginning of this scene, they yell at him. They're like, "Where are the kids?" And I'm like, it's gonna pan up to the Spider-Man 1 bridge.
The amount of 90s kids movies that have some sort of set piece with a conveyor belt is way higher than 10.
Yeah, I didn't Whataburger also end with some weird conveyor
Good
belt
Burger,
shit.
not Whataburger.
Sorry, Good Burger. Didn't Whataburger?
Yes, Good Burger had the burger
Jesus.
conveyor belt, but it didn't directly factor into the climax.
Man, it's a shame they can't get Keenan and Kel to sell us some Whataburger.
Oh no, this night's gonna
This
end.
fucking set piece is like they built a giant practical effects version of the Mousetrap shit
Yes.
from the board game.
Yes.
It's unreal. This whole movie, I was just sitting there like, they made so many things.
Yes.
But then we begin the action sequence. They're trying to save the kids. Fred sends Barney to save the kids while he's going to stop the machine. They can't stop the machine. Fred is like, I gotta think. And then thinks of a dinosaur eating his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Which looks like, if I can get it, looks like this.
That's really good.
And he's like, no, wait. And then he remembers he remembers how he fucked up the model.
Mm.
So Fred puts a big rock in the catapult and launches it just as Barney, who fucked up, and fail to save the kids, is going to get ground to dirt by this fucking machine. And it destroys it and saves the kids. Vander Cave is trying to escape. Sharon Stone, Halle Berry hits him in the back of the head with like a brick. Then Fred also hits him with like a big stone that he throws like a bowling ball. And then as he tries to run away, it's also good. Oh, he has a pistol, but it's a Flintstones pistol, so it's like a slingshot pistol.
Yeah,
it's really
Yeah,
neat
little
looking.
rocks in it.
It's got 3 barrels, 3 rocks to sling. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty clever. I think that's hilarious.
I thought it had a second row of 3
Yeah,
behind
so
the first three.
it's a 6-shooter
Oh
technically.
my God. That's perfect.
So he's trying to run away because he got hit. He lost the money, and he got hit. He got hit by Halle Berry, lost the money, and got hit by Fred's bowling ball. And then he hears police, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta run." And then he runs, and then the machine produces a gray substance which falls down onto him and turns him into a statue because it's concrete.
Yeah.
So they have the resolution. Fred's like, "It's gonna be rough finding a new job. You know, Mr. Slate's not gonna give me a good recommendation considering I blew up his entire quarry." And then Barney's like, "Don't worry, Fred. I'm sure he realizes it's not your fault." And then Mr. Slate shows up. This is the first time. No, he was also in the boardroom scene.
Yeah.
Mr. Slate shows up. Is like, "Flintstone." He's like, "What is this?" It's fucking Vander Cave hardened into like a carbonite statue by concrete.
It's so good.
Dead.
Yeah, he's dead. He's fucking
That's
over
what's
him.
got me
He
real
might
bad.
be dead by now. Who knows?
Yeah, he probably wasn't dead for about 15 minutes, but then he was.
It's just like that stone in JoJo's Part 4. It's fine.
He stopped thinking.
Slade is super impressed. He's like, "I'm going to name it after my daughter, Concretia, and the Stone Age is over." He's like, "Fred, I'm going to make you the president of the new concrete division." And Wilma makes a gesture like, "No, we don't need to do this again." And Fred's like, no, I'm happy where I am, boss. Can everybody have get rehired, have a vacation, a wage, and little packets of ketchup for the lunchroom?" Because that's what Barney asks for right before Fred goes into the office for the first time after being vice president. It's like, "Can you get us some little ketchup packets for the lunchroom?" So it pays off on that. And then this kind of ends in the reverse way of the Honeymooners, where Barney gets pissed at Fred and chases him around because Fred's like, "I'm going to buy everybody breakfast, snake and eggs." I was like, Barney, can I borrow some money for it? Because I don't have any money. And Barney gets pissed and chases him around. And then we get the second half of the ending.
Yes.
Or not ending, but the opening of the Flintstones cartoon where Fred goes to get the giant rack of ribs that tip the car over.
Can't believe that rack.
And they go home, and he gets locked out. He gets locked out by the cat and screams, "Wilma!" And that's the end of the movie.
And then we get credits, and top billing goes to Harvey Korman for Dick DeBird.
That's funny.
I was like, oh, that's good. That's real good.
So that's the movie. We need to go into the segments. So we're gonna start off as always with best character. Aggro, you may go first.
Yes!
On best character.
That means I get to pick the Dick
I
DeBird.
hate
Yeah,
you.
God.
Yes, easy pick. Harvey Korman's a legend. He's basically doing the Great Kazoo. He's the best part of this movie.
He is easily. This movie would go down multiple points without him. It's so good. Every line he says is hilarious. Half of my notes, I think, are shit he said.
He is incredibly good, and I'm realizing that he's voiced by the Great Kazoo really elevates it. KZ.
The fake Fred Flintstone from the TV program. I can't stop
I'm
thinking.
embezzling.
I'm an executive. I'm embezzling.
Whistling.
Yabba dabba dabba.
Dan.
I'm going to choose something that was skipped over entirely because I thought this was very funny. And instead of it being an individual character, it's a group, but you'll understand. The BC-52s,
God damn it. Yeah.
where they got the
Yeah.
B-52s to just be Flintstone versions of themselves, and they sing the Bedrock Twitch.
God, that song is
And
so
one
bad.
other song. It is hilarious. They have a whole dance number we didn't even talk about.
Yes.
And they literally perform it in the car at the start of the film too.
Just to be clear about how deep this goes, they're just it's just Rock Lobster. For anyone who doesn't know, like the guy's doing the same voice. That's just how it sounds. Really good. I enjoyed the BC-52s immensely.
Bob.
I'm going to give it to Barney. I think Rick Moranis really did elevate this role to an extent I didn't think was possible.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean,
Yeah.
He has... every scene with him is great, especially when he's the ice cone vendor.
yes, the ice cone. Everything about why couldn't I get business like this normally? And there's the line from Fred we didn't even talk about where he's like, Barney, you came to save me. He's like, I just saw a crowd. I came to sell snow cones. Right?
The end of the restaurant scene where we get to see Rick Moranis throw a flying, spinning haymaker at Fred.
Yes.
I guess I'll go last. I'm gonna give it to Cliff Vandercave. I thought he was delightful as the scumbag villain.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, it's great when he's like, no, his plan is actually not that clever. It's just direct and bold.
Yes.
And luckily everyone else is really stupid, which feels like how most crimes work out. Where it's like, no, he's not a criminal mastermind. He's just a sociopath.
There's something wrong with his brain, because like the final twist in his plan is like, yes, I'm going to take a shit ton of money and go live on a beach somewhere. Should I take Halle Berry as a willing accomplice?
Nah.
No, I think I'll screw her over for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are hotter women than Halle Berry in wherever fucking place I'm going to.
Aggro, he's rich. He's a rich white executive. Obviously, he's racist.
God.
They didn't include that in the text of the movie because it was just obvious.
I thought this was a gay coding your villain thing, but all right.
I didn't even think of that once, huh?
But we're gonna go to worst character now. Dan,
Look,
this is a hard one.
a lot of
really.
people in this do fantastic performances. I can't complain about anyone really, even down to the level of like the monkey taking the test. Everyone does great. So instead, I'm going to choose on a different vector. I can't deal with Rosie O'Donnell as Betty. That laugh haunts me. No human should get that close. It's just like, I didn't need to see that coming out of a flesh being.
I feel like that was her entire audition.
Right? Like the camera is just front facing on her as she does the laugh at me. And I'm just like, I can't. That's a cartoon character. Oh, stop.
Let's see. Aggro.
Wilma.
Okay.
She is the worst character in this movie. The way she is written is awful. She's not a character. She just does things in the story without rhyme or reason. One moment she's completely bland. One moment she's becoming horrible for no reason, and then has a sudden face turn and starts wrecking shit in her own house. She's completely inconsistent and just a tool to move the plot forward. I hate her in this film.
Understandable. She was going to be my other vote for worst character, but I didn't know how to say other than I fucking hate her. She's completely joyless. I don't even like the performance of the actress. And yeah, you're right. The writing of the character is just rock bottom.
Yeah, that is one of the weaker points.
Aggro got it. Rock bottom.
KZ.
Oh God. All right. Well, the worst character was picked. Wilma. Wilma's mom.
Yeah, it's genetic at this point.
Where I'm just,
Yes.
I'm just like, you're the worst character, as in you're the worst person. I rank you above even the bad guys.
she's like really even by sitcom mother-in-law standards, she's really fucking bad.
Yeah, she's comically hateable.
Oh, she's so over the top. She has ultimate shitty customer energy.
Yes, that's why I'm glad she got eaten by a dinosaur.
Definitely happened.
In his fantasy.
Mine too.
I guess I'll go next. I'm gonna give it to Baby Puss, who is the saber-toothed tiger, because between them and Dino, they look worse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't see him as much, so they don't worry about it looking bad. They just do it.
Especially when it's sitting up in the car.
It's like you're a nightmare every time you're on screen. Bob.
I'm gonna give it to one I'm surprised wasn't mentioned at all. Wilma's dad,
Yeah.
who apparently sacrificed her brother.
There's a whole line in there I wrote down where it's we sacrificed so much for you, Wilma. Think about all the sacrifices your dad did. That lamb, that sheep, your brother.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I missed that entirely.
It was I lost it. I'm just like, wait, what?
You can't just throw that in there.
Wow, the Flintstones really are boomers. Their parents sold out the future for them. And some of their kids, apparently. Let's move on to positivity again with best scene. Bob, you can start us off with the best scene.
Yes, I just did to just shoot this immediately. The lynching scene. That's immaculate.
It is. There are too many funny lines
It
between
is.
all
It's
the snow cone
unbelievably
stuff
funny.
and everything else.
Yeah, no, it's just nonstop. I'm like, you can't do this movie. We're like an hour and a half in. You can't have your best scene now.
I'll go next. The scene where Fred is like, I gotta think of something, and just thinks of his mother-in-law being killed. because he's at this point, Barney has gone to try and save the children and has gotten like knocked unconscious and fallen onto the thing they're on. So at this point, it's like, I have to save my best friend and our kids. He's like, I need to think of something. Mother-in-law dying.
And he goes,
Like, wait, no,
later.
I need to think of later. Aggro.
So I had mentioned earlier that we got to see Rick Moranis throw a haymaker at Fred, and it was cleansing to the soul. But so for the best scene in the movie, for some reason, much like Feel's scene, this one just has this punch in the timing, where when Wilma and Betty break into the office to get the Dictabird and it starts being uncooperative, Rosie O'Donnell just reach over and starts choking the shit out of it.
Really good because Wilma's like, will you please help us? And the birds are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I appreciate the deep irony that he needs my help. And then Betty goes, Wilma, you need to calm down. And then just wrenches his neck without saying a word.
Like, this is a woman who has been raising a toddler with the strength of 3 grizzly bears. She is not here to fuck around.
Dan.
The dramatic reenactment of the crime. That's the funniest thing.
Of course, that thing's so good.
Yeah, of course.
I tie that and the lynching for like first place because it's so funny. His fucking delivery. I'm an executive. I'm embezzling. It's so good.
I'm gonna have to get that clip and just quote insane rich people.
Yes.
KZ.
My favorites were stolen, so I guess I'll go for one of the other scenes that I thought was good. Them taking the test.
It's got good bits.
There's a lot of really good visual gags like throughout that entire thing. I think the monkey really puts it over the edge.
I love the number 2 chisel.
Yeah, bring out your number 2 chisels.
And then, like, he's erasing something by, like, shoving dust back into the chisel mark.
Oh God.
I appreciate the fact the dude giving the test, Vander Cave, is he's just looking at a nudie mag.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the stone nudie mag.
While they're just taking the test, he's just staring at that. And I'm like, oh my God. Also, this isn't ever going to show up if I don't cover it now. How many times throughout the movie they have a news article about Fred and they just showed the drawing of Fred ass Flintstone?
Yeah,
from the
that's really
cartoon?
great.
Yes, Fred.
So good.
We're moving on to worst scene. I'll start. The scene where Barney works at the gas station and has to wash the feet. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In 2022, that scene has been ruined by people like Dan Schneider
Oh yeah, greatest criminal of kids media.
to have ever lived. So that's my pick. Bob.
The scene where Fred reaches into the garbage and spills his mouth. It really
that was a
upset
little
me.
horrifying.
It really did.
it
You were
was.
you were not having a good time.
That was deeply horrifying.
It's just like, oh, no.
Some Cronenberg shit.
Yes.
I mean, they even cover Fred's like arm in goo as he rips it out. It's just like, oh man, that's bad. But Bob,
Yeah, what's up?
counterpoint, when he pulls the fork up, he comes up to the sink level and he notices his watch is missing, slaps the counter, goes, come on, give it up. And then it just belches and his watch flies up out of the sinkhole.
Yeah, that was also bad.
No, that was fantastic.
It was
that
funny,
was
but
KZ.
The scene where Wilma moves out with the kid and Dino, because the script requires her to change how she feels all the time. And like the previous scene where Fred's like, I remember you were talking shit about how much you hate that they live here. And then suddenly she's like, I can't believe you let them leave.
Well, what she really means, KZ, is how dare you fucking piss me off? Now I have to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of rolled my eyes of like, okay, I guess we're doing it.
Aggro.
So I feel like this is kind of a weird pick, but the scene like really early in the movie where Fred and Barney are driving back from the quarry through Bedrock in the neighborhood, and we're getting all those establishing shots of people like out in the yard and their horrifying crustacean lawnmowers and playing basketball and whatever. Because it's like this movie was made in 94. And the whole time I was watching it, I was blaming the Addams Family for the existence of this movie. Like, oh, wow, that worked. We'll just try it with a bunch of other random shit like that. And like this scene reads like that similar scene in Edward Scissorhands from 1990. Like that scene is Tim Burton-esque of like, oh, look at this plastic facade on 90s suburban life with all the bright colors and the sunshine. And when it's in a Tim Burton movie, it's supposed to be like, look at this thin veneer over real life. Isn't this horrifyingly
slime.
plastic? And when you don't have the subtext, like I felt lost in fucking space. Like this is a weird artifact of filmmaking divorced from its context that just exists as a moment in time in visual media. And it made me feel weird and connected to history and aware. And I don't like feeling like that. I watch isekai anime.
I don't know. I like seeing all the weird practicals they made, so I clap.
Oh yeah, no, all that shit is great. Oh my god. There's a whole theme park of shit in this movie.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, it's insane that it wasn't just repurposed for something. Hey, maybe it was repurposed for the sequel they made a decade later. Actually, I found out that wasn't a sequel. They compensated by having nobody to come back by making it a prequel
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh.
about how Fred and Wilma got together. So
Oh man, I
they
definitely
can have
never
all
wanna watch
different
that.
actors.
Yeah.
You've already lost me.
It's terrible.
And finally, ending us out is Dan.
Okay, so you ever get that feeling where it's like, oh, they almost landed the ship. They almost landed the ship at the last second. There was a technical error, and the jet fighter, the plane, the whatever, just tore apart. It did not land successfully. You know what that moment was for me? This isn't the whole scene. It is a micro slice of a scene. When they make Dino Conga, when he does the conga line, that is horrifying. I did not want to see that. I feel like that's the worst looking thing with Dino. It is terrible. It will be stuck in my brain forever. As an old woman has to leave a gap in between her, the person in front of her, and the conga line, and then gesture in midair like she has her hands on Dino's hips. It is one of the most memorably bad looking scenes in this movie. Because honestly, overall, I really like this film, in case that's not fucking obvious.
Right.
Now we're gonna go around and use the cursed content scale, a -5 to 5, add them up and see what movie wins. Dan, what did you think of The Flintstones?
This movie is better than Kid Me remembered. What a surprise.
Wow.
Let's go, baby. The writing is so sharp, I feel like my 7-year-old brain couldn't possibly understand the layers, such as have we found out why the guys in Pit 6's hair have been falling out?
I was losing it during that.
I know. I was like, this was not the movie I expected to tune into. This was delightful. This was exceptional. This is clearly top tier for cursed contents ever recorded. I'm giving it a 5, baby.
That's strong. Aggro.
This is my favorite kind of cartoon adaptation, the Speed Racer school of adaptation, where instead of taking things from the cartoon and making a live-action movie, you make the most cartoonish fucking live-action movie you possibly can.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Overall, I don't think this is like a great film, but every single piece of it is a treasure, so I'd give it a 3.
KZ.
This is not cursed in the slightest. This was a joy. The amount of practical sets and props that they made were great. The comedy was incredibly on point. Every single actor is like really nailing it. Especially the ones that just have to mimic those characters, and they did a really great job. This is a 5.
Bob.
Yeah, this is one of the best things we've watched for this show ever.
Yes.
I'm used to just things that are almost okay being the high end. Instead, this was actually a funny movie with really great sets and a bunch of just surprisingly well done moments. Like they achieved the friendship angle with Barney and Fred very well, and I feel like they don't dip too hard into just stereotypical ways for the breakup to happen.
Yeah.
It feels believable. It's great. I'm giving this 5.
Hell yeah. Flintstones and Versus. Let's go.
I guess I'll also give this a 5. It really does have a lot, like thinking about it, there's so many parts where I'm like, wow, that's really funny. And every second the movie's running, there's something to look at. It really can't be overstated how much shit they made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts.
Like the point.
Yeah, we watched the new Spider-Man right after this, and most of that movie is blue screens.
Yeah.
Yes.
It going from like one to the other was insane.
It was whiplash for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of stunning. If this movie was even made like 5 years later, it would have way more CG.
It'd have way more CG. Like they wouldn't make all those sets.
No, I don't think.
I have to assume that Steven Spielberg is just the biggest Flintstones fan in the world. And it's like, no, we're doing this right. Because he didn't direct, but he did produce.
Right, he is the producer, and clearly the reason it happened, he gaslit John Goodman into playing Fred.
Yes.
That's insane.
It's sad that we did not get a Jetsons version of this. That would have been insane.
It's okay, Bob.
That
Maybe
is
we can,
really sad.
Maybe we can do that nowadays.
No.
And get Ryan
Jeff-
Gosling to be Jordan.
Yeah.
Would be incredible. Also doing that thing we do where it's like, what else did the director of this thing we liked work on? He directed fucking Jingle All the Way.
Okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
Smart.
100%.
Yeah, I can see that. And speaking of continuing another cursed content trend of all critics in the 90s were wrong and hated good movies, 20 on Rotten Tomatoes. 20.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's pretty dire.
I was going. I looked at that beforehand. And what do you mean?
I remember this being reviled.
Do you think like the shitty cinema journalists from like the 90s were like, this movie is funny and has joy and has practical effects that look good, but it's not art, so it gets a 2? Do you think like they were possessed by a force that moved to every game journalist in 7th Gen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, 100%. I've been noticing a strong correlation between 90s critics and 7th Gen game journalists a lot. It's at a point where, like, and to be fair, you end up in a similar situation, right? Where it's people reviewing movies, and it's just like some people can get really into the serious artfulness that can be accomplished with film. So when they see a movie like this, they're like, "This isn't a serious film. It's wasting my time as a critic."
So Dan, what won?
What a
Let me
mystery.
break down some maths. The average score for the Honeymooners was -1.6. It got a -8 total from the 5 of us.
Oh my god.
The Flintstones average score was 4.6. It got a total of 23 points from us. I think it won by a little, you guys. I think it won by 31 points.
Dan, Aggro gave the lowest score on this movie, and his score alone beats out the entirety of the Honeymooners together.
Yes.
Yup. I was noticing that.
I think this is... I'm glad we didn't watch this and then the Honeymooners. I would have given the Honeymooners a lower score.
I would have given it a -5 easy.
There was a moment where I'm just like, this is exactly like that scene in that, but better.
The only thing that movie had was John Leguizamo.
It really helped it for sure. There are some funny moments in that, but this has way funnier writing.
Yeah, this is like wall to wall.
It's they accomplished their goal for sure. No wonder it made $476 million or whatever.
I feel like the funniest thing that I've had to watch for content since this was that Courage Scooby special,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, you're just hitting.
Yeah, that was pretty good. 342 million worldwide.
Juicy.
I still can't believe
Yeah,
fucking-
thankfully critics were ignored, and this made a lot of money.
Right.
Fun fact, Hanna and Barbera were in this movie.
Yes, they were.
I didn't go back to look at them. I just saw them in the credits, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
I think Hannah was a boardroom executive, and I think Barbera was like a rich guy driving a Mercedes, which is called a Mersandes.
Yes.
And
You gotta be fucking kidding me. One of the writers on this film, there are 3 writers credited. One of them is the Die Hard writer.
Like original Die Hard.
Yes! Steven DeSouza! You gotta be fucking kidding me!
he had like a really bizarre career.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, also the director of Street Fighter the movie.
Okay.
Of course.
Of
And I think he wrote the Steven Seagal Judge Dredd movie. Or
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone, not Steven Seagal.
Yes, the
And-
Sylvester
Jesus.
Stallone one, yeah.
And I think the second Lara Croft Tomb Raider movie?
Yes, I think that's right. Yes, it is the second.
What a tumultuous career.
Yep. I can't. That's fucking hilarious.
Anybody have any final thoughts on the Flintstones 1994?
Why can't we get stuff like this anymore? I want just a pile of practicals.
Yep.
Never. Maybe when. Never. Like I was gonna say, maybe when trying to think of a situation where
Maybe,
it's like, no, there's no hope.
maybe when post-production companies, CG houses all get unions.
Yeah, I was like, maybe that'll do it.
There
Maybe
you
when
go.
they all unionize.
I keep sitting here. This is my fantasy. That's right. We have to fantasize about industries getting unions.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see that even that won't help because they'll just move all of it offshore. They'll have everything will look 100 times worse, and it'll be like, yeah, every single all CGI is now in Southeast Asia and China, so we don't have to unionize and treat them badly. Spider-Man 5, MCU Spider-Man 5 CG will be done at one of those Foxconn factories that have the suicide nets all around it.
Oh
no.
I never want to see the sequel to this. It is as much of a bummer conceptually as everything Field just said.
Maybe more.
This month's Gigaboots videos were brought to you by the continued support of our executive producers, such as Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Burning Pepsi Man, Adam Admar, Cooper Tank, and Virmvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers, and also these gamers. If you want to support Gigaboots so we can continue the content crunch, then head on over to patreon.com/gigboots today.